Well, thank you again for asking me to come to speak to you about the Sheriff's Office and law enforcement. It's dear to my heart, doing it since 1978, that as an officer I was very involved in not just going out and taking complaints and sometimes arresting people. I've always been involved in crime prevention. When I was the chief of Stevensville, I started the neighborhood watch program there. When I went over to St. Joe Township, I got really involved in the neighborhood watch program there and had 75 captains at one time. And every time something happened, you know, there was a calling tree to tell all the captains, to tell everybody in the neighborhood what was going on. And I think that's what it's so important, community policing, is to make the police department with the community. So when stuff is happening, we're sharing all that information and not trying to hide anything or try to cover up anything because, you know, we're having a bunch of breaking and enterings. When we have those things happening, we need to let the community know that it's happening. And we had lots of neighborhood watch picnics, so that was probably not good for me to, you know, go and eat all those cupcakes and all that stuff. But each block would have a picnic each year, and then we would have one big picnic down at one of the parks, which was a lot of fun. Before Kelly Lesh was Karen Klug, who was a crime prevention specialist, and then she went over to the EOC, and now she's retired, and she is the administrative assistant for the tribal police. So she's still working. So lots of good things happening. Kelly, you can. We're gonna right now. I'm gonna step aside, and this is what happened in 2003. You're going to see that Benton Harbor called us for assistance along with the state police, but we were the first ones to arrive, and a couple of our what you would call a riot squad showed up with gear on to try to get the crowd dispersed so that we could put the fires out. So Kelly?
Was this when the young man on the motorcycle?
Yes. What's the location? Where is that?
Yeah, what street?
That's Empire going up to Broadway. All the officers you're seeing are all deputy sheriffs, and we're just trying to get the crowd back. And those are all rocks coming in at us.
Bricks.
The vehicle you see that come out, that's our armored vehicle, the Peacekeeper, and we were happy that a lot of rocks got tossed to that because you can't hurt that. So we were able to push back the crowd to get those fires out, and then and as you see everything that's going on there, that's why I talk about training. You know, we did not fire one weapon during this whole incident, even though there were some shots being fired in the area. So, and it keeps going, but I think we'll cut it off here. That's just.
But the idea was to stop the crowds, you get the police, the fire people down there?
Right, because that whole block was going to catch on fire. I think we had like 10 homes that were burnt down, most of them vacant, but that fire was right next to that convenience store right there. So we were able to do that. The Benton Harbor fire truck had to back up because it got shot at as it was pulling up there. So not a good day in our history, but since 2003 to now, look how much better things have gotten, you know, and the city has come a long ways with help from a lot of individuals, and we're just going to continue to work on those social issues to make things better. You know, not that I'm picking on Benton Harbor because there's issues in each one of our cities. You know, we've arrested people in Three Oaks, we arrest people in Niles, for drugs and other issues, but we've never had any problems anywhere else in the county when it comes to civil unrest, a riot, whatever you want to call it. So you can go to the next page. In 2003, ALLPAC, Advocates and Leaders for Police and Community Trust. It kind of explains what it's all about, what we're trying to accomplish across the county is to have a better dialogue with our citizens, to make choices on how we're policing their communities. And we have a police service meeting each month. It's always the last Friday of every month where all the police chiefs get together and we talk about issues in the county. And we meet in Baroda at the Baroda Lake Fire Police Department. And we have a president, a secretary, and a treasurer, and we just go over. The prosecutor comes every now and then, a judge comes, juvenile justice is there, Elvin Gonzalez comes, dispatch, central dispatch is there, and we just discuss issues that needed to be addressed at those police services meetings. So ALLPAC is very important. We have had several presidents, but Kelly, if you can go to the next page. You can see Dan McGinnis is the president. It was Mindy Logan, who is the one of the lieutenants for the Michigan State Police, was the past president. Marletta Seitz, the county commissioner, is the vice president, and the secretary is Helen McKenzie. So we meet every the fourth Tuesday at 9:30 at Connexus. Now the next meeting coming up, and I don't have that date with me, I can look it up for you, is going to be at the jail. And we're bringing in all the citizens that are participating with ALLPAC, and what we're going to do is give a tour of the jail, and then we have a simulator, shoot, don't shoot, and we're going to put them all through that. So there's going to be pastors, citizens, and some elected officials that are there just to show some of the training that we go through, because everybody in the Sheriff's Department, we qualify 4 times a year, and then once a year we go through the simulator, and it's real. Let me tell you, when you're out of there, you got a little sweat going from you, because you got all these scenarios coming up in front of you, and it's just like it's really happening. So it's good training. I talked about the community relation forums that we're having. We had one, and then there's 2 more coming up, but we can get out those locations for those. Dan hasn't decided where he's going to do those, at the school again or some other location in the county.
Are the meetings on every fourth Tuesday, is that by invitation, or is that?
No, anybody can come. It's open to the public. So if you want to get involved in ALLPAC, please come.
And call
Dan McGinnis.
up there.
Dan McGinnis, you can get more information from him since he's our president, 927-8425. Kelly, go ahead.
How's he advertising these forums? Because this is the first I heard there was something last night.
In the paper.
I saw them in the paper.
It's
So.
there.
Papers in the front cover.
They're meeting, but they were beforehand too. I
Yeah.
know in the paper.
So he's going to try to get it out over the radio, and he's going to try to get it out in the South Bend Tribune and the Herald Palladium.
Yeah, I think definitely there needs to be better communication of it if he wants the attendance.
Yeah. Well, we've grown. We were just a small group, and the last meeting we must have had 20 people there. So the numbers are growing, and the big part, not just having me there and the chiefs of police there, is that we're getting citizens to come in with some input to us.
Is new, and so these community relation forums will grow, probably have more at the end than they will at the beginning, just
Right.
from word of mouth.
So that's what we're counting on. Go ahead, Kelly. ALLPAC did a gun buyback last year. You can see some of the guns that we received in. We had a private anonymous donor for $5,000, and if you brought a weapon in, you get a $25 gift certificate to Walmart. So
$50 we gave.
oh, that's right. Yeah, you gave 2, so it ended up being $50. So, but we're not taken away from the Second Amendment. We're all for responsible gun owners. This is just in case somebody has a gun that they don't want to resell and they want to get rid of. that there's a place they can take them to. And what we do with them is they all go up to the Michigan State lab to be melted down. None of them are resold. They're all taken up there and melted down. And here's a little breakup. We had the riots in 2003, and I think it's important that you understand who was coming to jail. As you can see, in 2002, this is by race and sex, that 36% of the people in 2002 were African Americans that came to jail. 29% were Caucasian. Female, black, 11. Female, white, 10%. If you get over on this is a breakdown of jurisdictions. So Benton Harbor City made up 17% of people incarcerated in our jail. Benton Township is 15%. St. Joe is 28%. And then all others are 30%. And then it also has Niles City at 6%. And then the smaller townships. So it's just a breakdown. And then it lists up here, Benton Harbor, Benton Township, St. Joe Township, the number of people that were African American or Caucasian, and then all other races are listed down there. I think it's important because, in the paper just recently, there was a quote from one of the commissioners that 65% of the people in the Berrien County Jail were African Americans from Benton Harbor during the riots, and that's not a true statement. And I think everybody needs to know who's there and who's not there. So we'll go to this is 2003 when the civil unrest happened in Benton Harbor. You can see 37% were African American, 28% were Caucasian, and then the breakdown between black females and white males. And then it gives you a breakdown of who came to jail from those different areas. So I have one more I pulled up and pulled all this information out of our system, the year before, the year after, and here is the breakdown for 2004 of the different people that came to our county jail. Yes?
Sheriff Bailey, are these slides, is the information on these slides available publicly? Like if you went to the Berrien County website, would you be able to find this information? Or the Sheriff's Department or wherever?
Yeah. The question is this information available for the public? We can put it on our website, but we have not put it on there, but I can put it on there, and I can also pull up some statistics from the last few years for people too. So what I'll do is that my end of the year report is going to be given to the commissioners for 2014, and when I put that online, I'll put these charts online.
That would be helpful to us because then when we're working with the public and we're talking to them, we can bring these slides out, these images out, and we can show people that and help to disseminate some of the information and get information out there.
And if you have anybody that's talking to you and bringing up statistics when it comes to the jail, if you want to know any information, just call me and give me a couple days to get into the system to pull it all up, and we can get it put together for you.
Because I go and pull information electronically frequently. So if it's available and it's out there on the internet for us to grab,
Right.
then we can use that to help support you.
And I'm sure that you probably looked at our website before, bcsheriff.org, and the end of the year reports is always on there. There's a lot of information on that end of the year report, and then it also has all of our special divisions that you can get online and to learn about what we're doing at the sheriff's office.
I can email her those too, I just gave her
Yeah.
a card.
Go ahead, Kelly. The next is just a breakdown some statistics. As I said, in 2004 and 5, we were booking in about 9,000. You can see those numbers have gone down over the years. And last year, 7,143. And it has a breakdown of males and females. Our average daily population in 2014 was 348 inmates. Now that doesn't say that, there's some days that I have up to 370 people in that jail. Our capacity is 341. So, go ahead. Yes?
Do all of the people that are booked, do all of them need to be incarcerated? 'Cause
Well,
that's a real big issue right now. And
well, The question was, does everybody that's in our jail need to be incarcerated? The answer would be yes, because I gotta give credit to the courts, to probation, misdemeanor and felony, because we have lots of other programs. So most of the people that are coming to our jail have committed a serious crime, or they've been caught 5, 10 times. So sooner or later, the judge is not going to put them in an alternative program. They're going to put them in jail for a while. So we may have somebody in jail for retail fraud, and it's not the first time that they've stolen. It may be the 15th time that they've stolen, because we just had somebody get 15 days for retail fraud, and this is, I think, was her 15th time that she had stolen, and they had put them in all different types of programs. So the judge was trying to send a message out there: you got to stop stealing from these stores, or you're going to go to jail. So, our Judge Nelson, who's the chief judge, works with all the judges and with probation to make sure that the judges have alternative programs to send people to. We have KPEP, so someone may get sentenced to 6 months in jail, and they do 3 months in jail and then 3 months at KPEP, and that is a program that they do a lot of in-service training for them. They try to assist them in finding a job. They give them the skills that they need. They'll get them signed up to go to Lake Michigan College or to Southwestern Michigan College to get any educational things that they need. So that is a very good problem, but very strict. So if they mess up while they're in that program and they don't follow the rules, they come back and serve the remaining time back in jail. So that program, I think, has paid off big dividends in helping people understand why they've committed those crimes and to do better things for themselves.
When they're incarcerated, once their time is served, are they indebted per diem for the cost of their incarceration?
Yes, they are. The question was, once inmates complete their time in jail, is there a charge for their incarceration? And we charge $43 a day. The average across the country is $60 a day. We charge $43 a day. If they do not pay it, there's no warrants issued for them, but it does go to a collection agency and they try to collect it. The collection agency may make a deal with someone and give them, and have them pay 30% of the debt, but the collection agency takes care of all of that. I don't get involved in that.
Who pays the collection agency? Do they make it off of percentage of what they?
The collection agency gets a percentage about what they collect.
The county does not pay any additional fees? To
No,
the collection agency?
none.
So you're trying to get people on track with the GED and so forth, and then they get out of jail and they haven't been jailed, and now they're indebted?
Yeah.
They haven't been working indebted for all this amount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, to recover some of those costs. We don't get very much money back. Our revenue for the jail is under $1 million. Yeah, I think it's on here. It costs the cost of running the jail each year is up to $9 million. So as you can see, my budget is $17 million. For the sheriff's office and patrol is a little over $5 million, and if you skip down to the jail, it's a little over $9 million to operate the jail. And then if you go down, where's our revenue? It's not on this page. So,
And when you're talking about the jail, you're talking about both facilities, right? Because isn't there a Niles?
and we only have one facility, the jail. Niles Police Department has a temporary lockup, but that's totally run by them. They only can incarcerate people there until they get arraigned the next day, and then they have to come up to the county jail. And the reason they have that lockup is saves them from, anytime they make an arrest, driving all the way to the county. And then what we do is in the morning we drive over to Niles. I have my court officers that take inmates down to the Niles courthouse. They drive over and pick up any inmate that they have in their jail to bring over to the courthouse, and if they don't bond out, they come up to the county jail. So, but that's not part of the county facility. So they've always had a facility. In the old days, a lot of, Buchanan had a little lockup, and Eau Claire had a couple cells, but, those are long gone. So, yeah.
The,
Yes.
the jail rehab
sorry.
cost $26,000. What is that? Is that Marletta or?
No, that, Kelly, go back to that. That right there is for the classification sergeant. That's some of the funding we get to classify everybody into the program. Now, the classes that we put on inside our facility, the GED program is money that's coming in from different grants that they receive, so there's no cost to the county for that. Fresh Start, Marletta Seats does it for free for the females, and we pay about $10,000 a year for the males. We have Mr. Hopkins who comes in and does a GED, and then he does a literacy class, and the county pays about $10,000 a year for him to teach those literacy classes inside our jail. All the other programs that are into the jail are no cost to the county. So, and then we also have the Forgotten Man Ministry inside the jail, and what they do is we have chaplains inside the jail that will meet with different inmates to help them get through being in jail, and also pass out Bibles, also do Bible studies, and then once a week we have a non-denominational church service for inmates that are already sentenced. And then we also have the Seventh-day Adventists come in and put on a program. And then we also have the Catholics come in and put on a program inside the jail. So, like I said, we're always doing something inside the jail with the different programs that we have. This is just a picture of some of the things that you would see in the jail. I think, did some of you have a tour of the jail at one time? I don't know if anybody here had, but if it's something you would like to see, you can get a hold of me and I can set up a tour for everybody here to walk through the jail. The old part of the jail has bars. The new part has windows and sliding doors. So there's no bars in the new part of the jail that was added on and moved into in 1981. But the old section, there's bars, just like you see one of the old jails on TV. Go ahead, Kelly.
That looks larger than unless you can just reach out, is that right? I mean,
That's a cell, so this is the cell, and this is like a
A day room.
common day room.
Oh, that
They
is, okay.
share all.
This is
that.
a day
It's
room.
big
yeah,
That's a
Cell, individual, or two-person cell.
that's
And-
a two-person cell.
No, this is
and,
the
and,
intake.
and this is the receiving area. So if you're brought in, if you're arrested, you will stay in the receiving area until you're arraigned. And once you're arraigned, if you cannot post a bond or there's no bond, the classification sergeant will classify you on where you're going to go in our facility, and we have low, medium, and high risk in our jail, depending on what crime you've committed, and we also look at your criminal history. Is there any violence in your history, and that may put you in another part of our jail.
Maybe somebody has mental health issues.
Yep. We have a full-time nurse on all the time, and then we have a mental health specialist that's there evaluating everybody with mental health issues. That's something that we didn't have, that I've worked with the county commissioners to get funded, and we finally were able to go with a full-time person about 2005, and we've had one ever since. And they work with our mental health authority, Riverwood, to address mental health issues. Myself and Judge Pasula and a couple other people worked very hard to start the mental health court. So if somebody comes to our facility with mental health issues, there's a screening committee that's together from the prosecutor's office, from Riverwood, Amy from who's our mental health person, and somebody from probation sits on that committee to make a decision on who's going to get into the mental health court. And once they're in there, there's some coordination between mental health and the courts on what help they need, so that they don't get in trouble again, or they're evaluating them on what type of medication they need to be on. It was a great step ahead for us when we were able to get a mental health court. So in all those cases, go in front of one specific judge to address those issues.
What about juveniles? Where do they go?
Juveniles all go to the juvenile center. Anybody that's 16 and younger, it's in Berrien Center off of Deans Hill Road. It's right next to the old Berrien General Hospital, Lakeland right there. So there's a juvenile center there, and they house juveniles that have committed serious crimes or need to be incarcerated for some of their behavior being repeated. If somebody is doing things over and over again or breaking into houses, and they may put them at the juvenile center for a period of time to address their issues. Alvin Gonzalez heads up the probate in the juvenile center.
If they're being tried as adults, are they still in the juvenile center, or do they go in?
Yeah, if they're waived to adult court, they have to go through all the processes to get waived, and once they're waived, I can take somebody that's 14, 15, 16-year-old inside our facility. That doesn't happen very often, but it has happened in the past that we've had to incarcerate somebody until the trial and then until they're sent to prison. So, but there's lots of steps that has to happen before we can incarcerate them in our jail. And then once they're in our jail, we keep them separate from the other population until their trial and either found not guilty or guilty and sent to prison. And we try to get them up to prison, shortly thereafter their trial if they're incarcerated. Just some more pictures of different dorms, different deputies, and some of the meals that we're serving inside our jail. That's our kitchen. So it's a big kitchen. We sometimes serve up to 1,600 meals a day. We got to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So they get 2 hot meals a day. They get a hot breakfast, a hot lunch, and a cold dinner.
And are the kitchen staff, are they part of the county employees, or do you?
Yeah, I have kitchen staff. There's 5 ladies that work in the kitchen, and then we have inmate workers that work in there with them. That's our food pantry. We spend almost $500,000 a year feeding everybody that's incarcerated in our jail. Just another picture of some of the lines that, and this is one of our cooks over here. And then everybody dressed in the other white jumpsuits are all inmate workers that are assigned to the kitchen. And to become an inmate worker, there's a screening process that we go through depending on their risk. Not everybody can become an inmate worker, first of all, but the ones that do, the statute allows me to give them 6 days off their sentence a month. So if they do good and follow all the rules, they get some extra time off of their sentence. If they mess up and get violated as an inmate worker, they lose all that time. So pardon me? They're not paid. And they have to be sentenced. Nobody can be an inmate worker unsentenced. So they have to be sentenced. And then those are the food trays that get taken to each one of the dorms. Just showing a shakedown that we do. We do shakedowns in all the dorms throughout the week to make sure that there's nothing in there that's not supposed to be in there. And you probably say, well, how could that be? Well, I don't mean to be crude, but sometimes people swallow things and wait, and then all of a sudden there's a bag of marijuana or a bag of pills, and so we're constantly checking, and we'll get kites, what we call them kites, that other inmates will write out to us telling us if somebody's done that most of the time. And we have, when I became the sheriff, there was like 10 cameras in the jail. Now there's 300 cameras, so anything in the secure part of the jail, we're recording everything that happens inside the jail. In master control, in central control, the deputy that is assigned in there, we have to have somebody in there 24/7. he can communicate with each one of the dorms. So if there's a problem in a dorm, all the inmate has to do is come up and press a button. The camera automatically comes right up in front of the deputy in the control room that can see the inmate and they can talk back and forth. Plus, our deputies have to do rounds throughout the jail on a regular basis to make sure that everything is okay in each one of the dorms. But prior to getting all these cameras, we had to do the rounds. We didn't know what was going on. So, and we had more assaults back then between inmates. The assaults have gone down to very few because, we're going to charge somebody if somebody hits somebody. Before, it would be nobody knew anything. This is the booking area where inmates get brought into, and the deputies book them in and take all of their property, put the charges into the computer, and then they're locked up into one of our different cells down in the receiving area where they stay until they're arraigned. And then, like I said earlier, if they cannot post bond, they get classified and they go someplace up into the jail.
7,000 a year are going through this receiving process?
Yes.
And of those, how many are repeaters within that year? It's not 7,000 different individuals.
Yeah, you mean repeaters? I don't have that in front of me. Yeah, some
In
people,
emergency rooms, you see a modest number of people who are very frequent visitors and real kind of problems within the system. Do you identify that same phenomenon at the jail?
I don't have those statistics, but some people come back more than one time during the year.
In the ER, it's been helpful to identify those people and try to tailor-make a program for these individuals who are chronic repeaters.
Yeah, and those are the reasons why we have all those programs, and that's why we brought in these two specialists to do drug and alcohol screenings and trying to get them into programs once they leave our facility. That's important. That's the only the way we're going to stop that cycle, if we can stop that addiction. That's just that's one of the low risk dorms where they're in bunks throughout the dorm, and this is the old section because you can see the bars there. Go ahead, Kelly. That's our central control. That's
Sorry, I don't know why it keeps flipping forward, sorry.
that's Carl Jones. He retires on Friday. He's all done. He's got his 25 years in. That's our nursing, some of our nursing staff, which they stay very busy. There's a medical file on each inmate that's in there. We have to make sure that they're being taken care of properly. And my staff does a wonderful job addressing all of their medical problems. Now, you've heard in the past that we've gotten sued a few times, and that's the nature of the beast. But each one of those settlements, I can stand up here and tell you today that my staff did everything they could to make sure that everything was addressed. Having a doctor in here sometimes, there's some things you just can't protect from, and it's not in the end, it's not my choice if a lawsuit gets settled or not settled. The insurance companies push for us settling, and that's unfortunate, but that's what happens because they're worried that if we go to court that may have to pay out more money, and the insurance company will say, we're going to settle for this, you can go to court, but if you pay out if there's $2 more million added to that settlement, the county has to pay that out of their own pocket. So that what pushes a lot of the lawsuits, even though there's not a whole lot of them. I think since I've been sheriff, there's been 3 lawsuits that we've had to pay out from medical problems in the jail. Now, medical, I have had that under with my staff, and we had doctors on contract. In 2013, I decided to go outside, and we contracted with CHC. It's a outfit that does correctional facilities across the country, in that they bring their doctors in, they have all their consultants, and then if we get sued now, they will pay out that lawsuit instead of the county paying that out. And that contract I have with them, even though I still have oversight over them because I'm still responsible, I can't ever give that away. But it's paid off since we've done it in 2013. I think we've made a lot of good improvements in our medical department. I'm not a doctor, so as the sheriff, it's hard for me to go back there. I can't tell a doctor what to do. I have families that call me and say, I want this person on this prescription. I'm saying, wait a minute, our doctor has to see them. A doctor's the only one that can order that prescription for them. But they will, our doctors that we have on contract, the doctors prior to that, will communicate with any outside doctor to get information. The inmate has to sign off, though, so that we can get their medical records, so that we can know what medical problems they have. Every now and then it makes it very hard on our staff when somebody won't sign off and we don't know what type of medical treatment. It's just like the mental health treatment. Every time somebody's booked into our jail, there's a form. We try to get them to do it right when they get booked in, that they sign off, that we can get information on them if they have mental health issues from Riverwood. But if the inmate refuses to sign that form, I can't get any information from Riverwood to address their mental health problems. We can look up what we've had if they've been back in our facility before and they're repeat offenders. We can look and see what we have. But most of the time the inmates sign off. Every now and then we have problems with somebody not wanting to sign it. And usually we work those out because my medical staff or I will call family members and get them to come in and talk to them and say, hey, it's in your best interest that you sign this so we can treat you properly while you're incarcerated in our jail. That's video visitation. We don't have to move any inmates around anymore, so if the public comes in, they come into this room, sit at that little bench and pick up the telephone and they can see the inmate up in their dorm. So which is really good, and something we're going to start within a month, I hope, is that if you don't want to come to the jail, you'll be able to do it right from your own home or from a library. We're going to have a connection like Skype, so you have to prearrange that visit. You go into our system and say you want to visit with this inmate at this time, and we plug that in. So if grandma or a friend lives in California, they'll be able to visit with somebody in our jail. And then the other thing that is really good about it is that the defense attorneys will also be able to set up appointments with who they're representing. If they can't come in all the time, they can do it over the video visitation. And we have that set up so it's not recorded. We'll put the inmate in a separate room because what happens between the defense attorney and the inmate is all confidential, so we will not record that. But everything else that is done on video visitation is all recorded, so we can review it, watch it, and we have it. It used to take 6 deputies to move all the inmates around, so when we had visitation, we had big rooms. We moved 16 people throughout the jail down to the video visitation rooms. Before we could do that, because we have sentenced and unsentenced, we'd have to check to keep separate, because we may have 5 people in jail that none of them can come in contact with one another, so we had to make sure if they're coming down for a visit, none of those other people were in that visitation slot. So this way it makes it a lot easier, and I'm really excited about when we're able to allow people that if you live in Niles or Buchanan or New Buffalo, you won't have to drive all the way up here now to talk to your loved one that's in jail.
If someone wants the person-to-person visitation, are they allowed?
No contact visit, no. It's all over the video. You can see the person on the video screen. The only people that can have contact visit with an inmate is their defense attorney and a pastor that allows us. He has to fill out an application, allow us to do a background, and we allow pastors that do that to come in and have contact visit with the inmate, but none of the family or nobody else can come in and have a contact visit.
I've read somewhere that at times being able to see the person in front of you, not via a screen, can be so much more beneficial to the prisoner. So there's no way to facilitate that at all?
No, not anymore. No, but you can see well on the screen. I mean, they stand there well, because when they went up in the jail, there was a glass in front of them. You know, they set apart. You couldn't pass anything
The
through.
other thing would be family members that couldn't, being that their young children are in jail and some of them had disabilities, couldn't always go, we would allow them to go up on the elevator, but some of them couldn't even get to the jail to go visit them. So this allows, I mean, even if they can get to the video, it does allow, and the new way, being from a home or a library or somewhere, is gonna be a lot easier for access. So there was a lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people would visit. I think it's gonna increase, I think this is increased visitation.
Right.
And it keeps everybody safe, keeps the inmates safe, but I think they have more of an opportunity to see family with this system than they did the old system. Because I
Yeah.
moved the people, and a lot of them couldn't even get up and down the stairs, so it was hard, because I felt bad that you can't even come see your family. I mean, I get what you're saying, but this is actually a better system for everybody, both sides, the family and the inmate.
So,
And how long has this been in place?
last 2 years now. Yeah, it was a long, drawn-out, I did a lot of research on it, took it in front of the county commissioners because it cost $300,000 to do it. So the commissioners agreed that this was a good thing to do, and we spent the money and made the changes. This used to be one big lobby, now it's separated, and because the only people that can come inside here are the people visiting at that time. There's another lobby that people come into to either bond somebody out or leave commissary money for the inmates that's in our jail.
The other thing, you have a lot of contraband when you're moving people into a facility. I mean, it just takes so much long. Like he said, 6 deputies to move for when it was inmate visitation. There was only 2 days a week, and you were moving, and then we had to go and check everything to make sure that stuff wasn't getting passed or left behind. I mean, it was just a very long process. So they get more quality time visiting, I think, this way than they did the old way.
Yep.
So, and then you sat next to each other, so you weren't really having the private one-on-one. It was so loud. I mean, people complained to us that,
Yeah.
can you get us quieter spots? And we can't hear them. I mean, it was a mess. This, I think, works a lot
Yeah.
better, so.
I had never envisioned that
Yeah.
that many people could be visiting that. I mean, it could get rather noisy there also.
Right, yeah.
Right. Yeah, then there's more. There's more over to this side too.
Having the phone helps. It does
Yeah,
help.
holding the phone to your ear. So go ahead, Kelly. Oh, and then the enforcement division, we got the Road Patrol, Narcotics, Detective Bureau, Marine and Snowmobile Patrol, Training, and Crime Prevention. So, and then there's just a few in here. We have 42 deputies assigned to the Road Patrol, 30 paid out of the general fund, and the rest are paid by those contracts that I have with Niles Township, New Buffalo, and Waterville East. The number of calls that were worked by just the Sheriff's Department, not the other 23 police departments that are in Berrien County. We handled 14,577 complaints in 2014, and it tells you how many miles that the patrol officers move. Now, understand that when we're patrolling, when we got the south end of the county, if we got to go from Niles over to New Buffalo for a call, that's 30-some miles just to get over there. Yeah, so, and we have patrol out in all of the areas. I don't have anybody assigned to any Pacific Township, but those deputies never leave those townships. They stay in those townships. But the rest of our patrol, if I have a deputy assigned up north, that deputy may have to cover Hager, Bainbridge Township, Sodas Township, and Railton Township. So, so we just don't get to a call in a few seconds because we may have to drive 20 miles to get to the next call. If you live in a city like St. Joe, 4 square miles, so, and they have 4 cars on, so you're going to get a car responding a lot quicker. That's why in 2001 I went to and worked out with the state police that we pull where the 2 cars are. So if my car is 20 miles away and their car is 5 miles away, it doesn't make any sense to send my car all the way over there when they have a car just down the road.
What constitutes a complaint? Is that a call to the Sheriff's Department? Or
That's a call to Central Dispatch.
Okay.
And
It's not including traffic stops or
no, that's not included in any traffic stops. We don't
It's
pull
all-
no.
It's all calls in.
All calls
You're
in.
receiving 14,000 calls.
Yep. Just our department. Yeah, we don't pull any numbers on traffic stops.
So that's not 911. How do you separate 911?
Well, it's all out of the same dispatch center. They answer non-emergency calls and they answer the 911 calls. In 2005, we went to Central Dispatch. Prior to that, dispatch was under my authority and it was out of the jail. We decided to have a better dispatch center, to have better communications, to have better interoperability. We needed a central dispatch that dispatched for all the police and fire in one location. So if there's something that happens in our county, all of the coordination for that is done through the central dispatch. Dave Agents is the 911 coordinator, and Roland Lombard is his assistant. And then they have 30 dispatchers that are assigned to the 911 dispatch center. So all calls in the entire county come into that center, all except Niles. Niles is the PSAP is the backup for the county. So Niles dispatches for their own cars. Everybody else in the county goes into central dispatch. So if something happened to our dispatch center, Niles could dispatch for the whole county. It's set up so that they have enough consoles down there. They have all of the radio frequencies, so they could dispatch. You know, our central dispatch center could get hit by a tornado, could get hit by something, so there's a backup. Vice versa, if something happens to Niles dispatch center, the county can dispatch for Niles also with everybody else. Used to be that Benton Harbor, Benton Township, and St. Joe City had their own dispatch center, and with lots of work, we were able to get rid of those dispatch centers and combine them to central dispatch, the 911 center. This month or next month, an RFP should be going out because we're going to remodel the receiving area down in the county jail. That's going to cost, you know, an estimate of about $5 million. But we need to do something because I don't have enough cells down there from the number of people that are coming to jail. I don't have padded cells. So this is something that I've been working with the commissioners for many years. We did a remodeling for the entire jail back in 2004, where we went from those 15 cameras to over 300 cameras, and that all the doors are procs now. We used to have to carry 15 keys around to get through all the doors. And this next step is we're going to enlarge the receiving area because the road patrol, the Marine Division, and emergency management and dispatch all moved out. So we're going to enlarge that area to have more cells. We're going to have a triage down there for medical, because medical doesn't have one now. We have to take them up to the first floor, and we're going to put a triage right down there, so if we have a problem with somebody coming in, we can address those issues right away. And any inmate that comes in that has medical issues has to get screened by our medical department, and we won't accept them if there's issues until they go to Lakeland and get treated. So what I do for the different police departments is that if somebody comes and has medical issues, they have to go to the hospital with that inmate for 2 hours, and if the hospital is going to keep them longer, admit them, then I send a deputy over to take over that, guarding them until we can bring them back to our jail. We spend between $300,000 and $400,000 a year at Lakeland Hospital taking care of inmates with medical problems. Understand that when we get people that are addicted to these drugs, it tears up the rest of their body. So we have lots of diabetics inside the facility. So our medical staff stays very busy with lots of checks and balances to be able to address those issues. So
I have a feeling Sheriff Bailey could offer us a lot more.
thank you.